Hello, 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 everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you. Welcome back. We're going to be reading chapter 7 and chapter 8 in the Human Aura by Djwal. And I guess the full title of this would be The Human Aura, How to Activate and Energize Your Aura and Chakras. So the first part of the book is talking about the aura, and the second part we're going to delve into the chakra system. So chapter 7 is titled The Expansion of the Aura. Coalescing around the spinal column are little portions of magnetic energy, which I choose to call pieces of human destiny. As a man thinks, so is he. As a man feels, so is he. As a man is, so goes his relationship with God, with purpose, and with the whole domain of life. The fabric of a man's being is composed of minutiae. The fabric of a man's being is composed of thought, and thought is indeed made up of the same substance as that faith once delivered unto the saints. Now, as we recognize the need to let the sense of struggle cease, we want the students to develop in their consciousness the living tides of reality that flex the muscles of true spiritual being, enabling it to take dominion over the earth. Just as Christ walked upon the waters, so humanity must learn the way of the possessor of light. It has been said that the way of the transgressor is hard, but those who possess the divine potential and exercise it in the divine way are in contact with the cloud of witnesses that from spiritual realms extend the energies of the purpose of God to the earth. There is a time in the lives of most children when heaven seems very near. Their journeys through the portals of life and death reveal the celestial truth of soul knowing, often forgotten with the passing of the years. Contact with heaven through the reestablishment of the threads of light between the heart and being of man and the living Father is beautiful and necessary if the world is to mature into an age of renewed innocence and tenderness, expressed by mankind toward one another. Grace is a very special quality of God that charges the aura with the buoyant and joyous expression of heaven's beauty and wonder, continuously expressed here below and continuously expressed above. There is neither boredom nor unhappiness in the celestial state, but only a joyous sense of ongoingness that knows no defeat or sordid thought, nor shame in its reflections. The miracle of eternity is caught in the web of time as man momentarily understands the power of his influence at the courts of heaven, as he realizes through oneness with his Christed being that he is the maker of his own destiny. How much help is given and how much help can be evoked from the universal is a subject in its own right. Yet I feel the need to assert on behalf of the students everywhere their friendship with those who dwell in the Ascended Master consciousness, in the Christ consciousness. A friendship maintained through the liaison of the angelic hosts and God-free beings, and even the tiny elementals who are involved in the very outgoings of physical manifestation. And when they're talking about elementals, this is something that I've heard a lot when reading this genre of books. And especially with the Ascended Masters, we're talking about fairies, we're talking about, what else did they mention? Gnomes, talking about things that are usually only talked about in fairy tales. So you can kind of sit with that and see where you feel about that. I've not read too much about it, so I'm still not sure how I feel about that very fact, but there are there's a lot of text out there when it comes to the Ascended Masters, especially talking about this subject. So yeah, I think that's kind of a very interesting thought, and to think that maybe these things could be real, that these things could be assisting us, and that they're around us all the time, and it's just a matter of not seeing that. The word of the psalmist, for he shall give his angels charge over thee, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone, are intended for every son of God. Yet the temptation to command that these stones be made bread, for the purpose of assuaging mortal hunger, is very great. Nevertheless, every son of God must be prepared to overcome this temptation, as the Master did when he rebuked the lie of the carnal mind with the words, "It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God." Just as the world has its conspiracies practiced against the sons and daughters of God by those conspirators of Satan, whose lives are literally snuffed out without their ever knowing the end from the beginning, so heaven has its own conspiracy of light, and its emissaries are conspiring to evolve the wondrous God designs, which the Father hath prepared for them that love him. Now, as the celestial bower is momentarily lowered into view, the shape of things to come is revealed. When God does do his perfect work as planned to right the wrongs of men by sole demand, and newly bring to view the hopes the ages sought but never understood, the love and sacrifice he bought, to gather sheep and consecrate all lives to higher goals and drives they little understood. He vowed the plan to sweep from man that hoary dust of ages overlaid, to make men unafraid. By love he showed to them that they should understand the power of the pen that's mightier than the sword, and teaches all that I am casting out all fear from those who call upon me far and near. My light beams like a star of hope, dimensions newest opening upon the words I spoke. For there is hope for all beneath the sun and star, or even moon. For all things neath thy feet, reveal thy way complete, is ever found within my word, the precious bread I broke. For thou art mine, and I am thine. Our living souls awoke. Oh, see the magnet purpose, glorious connecting chain, eternal joy revealed as love does ever reign. I think that was like I don't know if that was a long psalm or just a prayer of some sort. There's no author or psalm or any verse number at the end of it. Devoted ones, the pathway to the stars is found in the thread of light anchored within the heart, whence the individual auric pattern expands naturally. Man has so often been concerned with the concepts and the many manifestations of the human aura, how to protect it, how to direct it, how to increase it, how to see it, how to interpret it, that he has seldom taken into account these simple words Jesus long ago revealed. Let your light shine, let your light so shine before men. This light of which he spake is the light that can be magnetized through the human aura, for it is the human emanation which heaven would make divine. Therefore, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. In our studies of the human aura, which are given to those who journey to our retreats, as well as to you who are fortunate to receive our instructions, we seek to promote the same understanding that Jesus imparted to his disciples, sometimes through parable, sometimes through objective analysis of themselves and their contemporaries, sometimes through direct teachings on the law which he read to them from the archives of the Brotherhood. His entire effort was to demonstrate what man can do and what man can be when he unites with the God flame. And I say to you today that it is to be-ness. It is to understand that you are a ray of intense light that cometh from the central sun into the world of form. This is the key to creative mastery. You must understand that you can draw forth renewed magnificence and devotion to the cause of your own immaculate freedom, and that this freedom can be a crystal river flowing out from the throne of God through your aura, which you have consecrated as a vessel of the Holy Spirit and into the world of men. You must understand that wherever you go, your opportunities to let your light, your aura, shine goes with you. And that because you have being and are being, you can take the sling of enlightened fortune and fling it into the world with almost delirious abandon, your cup of joy that runneth over in simply being a manifestation of God. You must increase your understanding of the magnificence of flow. the flow of the little electrons in the pure, fiery state that seem to dance with total abandon, and then again to march like little soldiers in precision formation, now disbanding as they assume what at first may seem to be erratic shapes, now regrouping in their intricate geometric patterns. Purposely, man pours out into the universe the healing balm that is his real self in action. Its flow is guided by the very soul of the living God, by an innate and beautiful concept of perfection steadily emanating to him and through him. Does man do this? Can man do it of himself? Jesus said, I can of my own self do nothing, but the Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Understand that the inner fires banked within yourself by the fire of the Holy Spirit can be expanded by your own desire to be God's will in action. Understand that these fires will act as a divine magnet to increase the flow of perfection into your aura and thence into the world. Understand that you must therefore wax enthusiastic about daily expanding your light through your meditations upon the Holy Spirit. Because it is our belief that men would do better if they knew better, we have written this series even as we long ago dedicated our service to the enlightenment of the race. It is our desire to teach men that the human aura need never be a muddied sea, but can ever be an eternal seeing into the streams of immortal perfection, whence cometh each man's being. One of the facts men should understand is that along with the pollution of their consciousness with impure thoughts and feelings, and the emanations of the mass mind, which seem to take possession of the very fires of being and entrap them within imperfect matrices, is their desire for self-perpetuation. Hence, often the little pitiful, dark-shadowed creatures of human thought and feeling will clothe themselves with the sticky overlay of qualities and conditions calculated to preserve the loves of the little self, thereby gaining acceptance in the consciousness bent on its own preservation. This is done in order to obscure the light of truth and to impugn it by reason of its very simplicity and perfection. Do not be deceived. The light is yours to behold. The light is yours to be. Claim it, identify with it. And regardless of whether you or not, men may mock simplicity, be determined in your childlike efforts to mature in God. One day, the divine man-child will come to you, and the aura of the living Christ will be yours to behold and to be. To follow him in the regeneration is to follow him in the sun tides of the light that he was, that he is, that he ever shall be. You cannot cast yourself upon the rock and not be broken, but this is preferable to having the rock fall upon you and grind you to powder. There are more things in heaven than men on earth have dreamed of, yet wondrous threads and penetrations have occurred, and many have come home. We await the redemption of the world, and we need in our brotherhood those who, while having fallen in error, can simply trust and place their hands in ours as in the hand of God. For then the shuttle of the highest cosmic workers can move to and fro, from above to below, to carry greater instruction to the race of men, to the fountain of the individual life, where the shield of the aura is esteemed for the wonder God has made it. Next, let us talk about the shield of the aura. God be with you, each one. All right, so now this is chapter 8, titled The Shield of the Aura. Let me just take a look. Okay, the shield of the aura. Some men upon the planet are little aware of the need for protection to the consciousness, nor are they aware of the possibility of others creating a barrage of negative energy calculated to disturb the equilibrium of their life streams. Let us set the record straight. There are many who are at various stages of mastering the control of negative energy and manipulating their fellow men by a wide range of tactics and techniques. There are also spiritual devotees of varying degrees of advancement who are in the process of mastering the godly control of energy and who understand somewhat the Brotherhood's systems of protection and the countermeasures they can take in defense of their own life plan. A God endeavor indeed. Upon this earth, heaven needs many who can work the handiwork of God. If a planet is to fulfill its destiny, it must have those who can work in the light of God that never fails, unhampered by the forces of Antichrist that would, if they could, tear down every noble endeavor of the sons and daughters of God. From time to time, these are and will be viciously assaulted through psychic means, whereby the garments of their individual auras are sometimes penetrated and even rent, unless they are spiritually fortified. Yet that blessed aura, when it is properly intensified and solidified with light, becomes the shield of God against the intrusion of all negative energy, automatically and wondrously repelling those arrows that fly from the dark domain, seeking to penetrate the peace of God that abides within, hence destroying peace. Let me remind all of the natural envelope of invulnerability that serves as the protection of every man against those arrows of outrageous fortune that fly so loosely in the very atmosphere of the planet betwixt men. However, through extraordinary measures, the forces of darkness are often able to engage men in some form of argument, whereby through inharmony they momentarily forfeit their protection. This is the game they play to catch men with their guard down. Then again, they launch such an attack of viciousness as to cause them, through fear, to open up their worlds to discordant energies, which results in the rendings of their garments. Earlier in this series, I gave an exercise for the strengthening of the aura through the development of the consciousness of invulnerability. Now, I would make plain that in addition to spiritual fortitude, one must also have spiritual reserves, what could almost be called reserve batteries of cosmic energy. The storing up of God's light within the aura through communion with the Lord of hosts and through the invocation of prayer, plus the sustaining of the consciousness and close contact with the angels, with the tiny builders of form acting under divine direction, and with all who are friends of light, creates an alliance with the forces of heaven. Through contact with each devotee's aura, these veritable powers of light can then precipitate the necessary spiritual fortifications that will give him a more than ordinary protection in moments of need. Let the student understand that his protection is threefold. First of all, he enjoys by the grace of God the natural immunity of the soul, which he must not forfeit through anger or psychic entrapment. Then there is the assistance of the angelic hosts and cosmic beings, with whom he has allied himself and his force field through invocation and prayer. And last, but certainly not least, there is the opportunity to request of his own presence the continuation of godly defense through an intensification of the tube of light that will also establish in his aura the needed protection the protective strata of energy which create a protective concept that cannot be penetrated. And we will learn more about the tube of light further on in this book. And if you're familiar at all with the violet flame, they do teach the tube of light, which is something that you should say before you begin doing your violet flame decrees. Bear in mind that sometimes the best defense of man's being is a necessary offense. And when you find that it becomes necessary to momentarily engage your energies in this way, try to think of what the masters would do, and do not allow your feelings to become negative or troubled by your contact with human discord of any kind. If you will consciously clothe yourself with the impenetrable radiance of the Christ, asking yourself what the master would do under these circumstances, you will know when to take the stand, "Get thee behind me, Satan," and when to employ the tactic of gently holding your peace before the pilot of some man's judgment. Remember always the goal fitting that is required of those who would remain on the path. You did not begin upon the path in order to become involved in strife. You began in order to find your way back home and to once again hold those beautiful thoughts of celestial fortitude and cosmic intelligence that would create in you the spirit of the abundant life. Birthless, deathless, timeless, eternal, there springs from within yourself the crystal foundation of light ever flowing, cascading in its own knowingness of the joy of God that create a chalice from which can be drunk the very water of life. Freely you have received, and freely you must give. For the heart of each man can gather quantities without measure of this infinite love in its superabundant onrushing. There is an erroneous thought in man that I must decry. It is the idea that man can get too much of spirituality. Oh, how fragile is the real thought of truth about this subject, and how easily it is shattered by human destiny and the misappropriation of energy. Man can never secure too much of God if he will only keep pace with him, with his light, with his consciousness, with his love. It is up to each one to do so, for no one can run the eternal race for you. You must pass through the portals alone. You must be strengthened by your own effort. And you must also face the dragons of defeat and darkness that you once allowed free rein in your own arena of thought and feeling. Slay these you must by the sword of spiritual discrimination, thus building an aura of the use to the masters of the Great White Brotherhood. Of what use is an electrode? Like the hard tip of a penetrating arrow flying through the air, an electrode becomes a point of release of giant energies that leap forth to conquer. And there are many things that need to be conquered. Above all, there are within oneself conditions of thought and sensitivities of feelings that require man's dominion. The man of whom I speak is the heavenly man, the man who abideth forever, one with God as a majority of good. His heart must not be troubled, and by the injunction of the Master, let not your heart be troubled, must be heeded. For the aura is a beautiful electrode that can become of great use to heaven, and it must be consciously strengthened if man is to truly realize his potential. Won't you understand with me the need to be the shield of God, to remain unmoved regardless of what conditions or difficulties you may face? For it is the power of heaven that liveth in you to strengthen the emanation of light from your being, both from the within to the without, and from the without to the within. You can receive both from without and from within of the strengthening light that maketh man truly aware that he can be in his aura and in his very being of beings a shield of God, impenetrable, indomitable, and victorious. I remain firm in the love of the purpose of your being. Okay. All right, so the next two chapters, 9 and 10, we're going to read the protection of the aura. And this includes a decree to Archangel Michael and the purification of the aura. And I do want to share with you what the tube of light looks like in case you are interested, because it is a really beautiful thing that you can visualize for yourself. Even when you're not doing a violet flame decree. I thought I saw one in here. There's a lot of really beautiful illustrations in here that show what the aura looks like at its different stages. But the tube, yeah, I thought there was one in here, but unfortunately, I guess I was wrong. That's okay. We've got a lot of really beautiful, this might be something like what the tube of light looks like. Sort of looks like a big, I cannot speak, a quartz crystal, like the pointed quartz crystal. That's sort of what it looks like. Isn't that beautiful? These pictures are so beautiful. This is the threefold flame, the pink, blue, and gold light that makes up basically the violet flame. So yeah, we'll look at these further on towards the end of the book, and we're going to stop right here. and we'll read 9 and 10 in the next video. So until next time, please take care of yourself. Please take care of those around you. I will see you guys again very soon for our next video. I love you all very much. Thank you so much for joining me. I love reading these to you. I love learning with you. I love reading things like this and sharing them with whoever is interested in listening. So I will see you guys all again very soon. Take care until then. Bye-bye.